for a liar, I'd think you would sell that better. You know what I mean? Like you got to keep the poker face. And this is the thing. I feel like you would know that though, right? Being a liar.
Anyways.
Well, this is how it starts. Huh? This is where it begins.
I'm going solo.
Well, I think maybe, you know what? Maybe you should. Maybe you should go solo. All right. Clearly, you know, clearly something.
I don't know. Today, we have an ad that probably maybe very few of our viewers have seen. It is from 1999. It is from Miller Beer. I didn't really find a whole lot of information about it. I don't know if you did.
This is what I was able to find about it.
So yeah, we've been calling it Fox Hat. Luckily I did find a little bit more information.
I did too. I was just too lazy to write. It was like two things. I'm like, I don't need to write this down. I can remember this.
I know everything about this commercial. So I would say let's take a look at it, and then we can kind of compare our, well, not notes because you didn't take them, but
let's do it.
When I told the folks back home that I was coming to Auchtermuchty, they said, "We're the Fox Hat."
Gosh.
So I don't really have to ask you because of your reaction. You like the joke. Good joke.
Yeah, I like the joke. I do.
I especially like the little laugh. I really think it makes it better. Just kind of, you know, he's clearly got this kind of slacker vibe about him. I don't know what. I can't really put it into words, but yeah, he's just kind of walking around. He's whistling a little bit. I can't do that whistle, by the way. I've always wished that I could. My grandmother had that whistle, and one of my longtime roommates was able to do that whistle really well. And for whatever reason, I've always appreciated it. Mm-hmm. But I love the something about it. Just it does it for me. So great joke. I definitely think of Miller and a lot of those beers as kind of dad beers, and that's a very good dad joke. A couple of things about the ad. Do you know what Auchtermuchty translates to? Well, first of all, do you know where Auchtermuchty is?
No, I do not.
From my research, it is in Scotland. Auchtermuchty translates loosely into English as field of boars. So
loosely.
Yeah, right. So now you know that, and what you're going to do with it, I don't know. Another tidbit is that's not actually Auchtermuchty in the ad, which makes sense because why would you fly somebody to Auchtermuchty when nobody knows what it looks like anyways, except for the 1,500 or so people who actually live there. So there's that. I did uncover that the actor is Robb Pruitt.
Yeah, I was able to find that. Yeah. You know what he's famous for, right?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he's been in like 115 different shows, all of which I've never heard of. Never. I mean, who is this guy?
I think I saw that he was on Spin City at one point. That was the only thing that I like when I was quickly scrolling through IMDb. I was like, oh, all right. Well, that's the one thing I know. And his credit is something like, you know, janitor number 2, you know, something like that. So not much going on there. He's still active. He has a website. So I encourage.
Yeah, I saw he's in some like show listed as 2020. I'd say that's pretty active.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he's more famous than you or I. So
it's debatable. Robb with 2 B's, by the way. Robbaba.
Yeah.
Robbaba
like
Pruitt. Yeah. Makes sense. Pruitt,
That's right,
2
because
T's, Robb's 2 B's.
There is also an artist named Robb with 1 B, Pruitt.
Mm-hmm.
I found that person as
And
well.
by the way, Robbaba Pruitt is so popular, to your admission, that Google wants to correct you to the Robb with 1 B. I just want to point that out, right? You have to work for it to get Robbaba.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Robbaba. I'm very sorry about this.
That's fun to say, by the way. No, and we think you did all. By the way, you were great in the spot, and Matt's right. You've done more prolific things than we have for sure, even as a janitor.
I don't think it was actually janitor.
That's a bit. Well, you should do your homework.
It doesn't really matter.
You kind of said it with a lot of confidence. Well, it kind of does, because you kind of said it with a lot of confidence. You know what I mean? Like, and here's the thing. As you're a role model, you have a podcast, which is like a television show, which makes you a celebrity, which makes you a role model. All right. And so people are going to see this and they're going to believe everything that you say. All right. And they're probably going to act on those things. So just a little, fair warning, buyer beware. Matt may not always be telling the truth. Okay. You can continue now.
Well, I apologize.
Better
to everyone.
The question is, can we believe that you're telling the truth now?
I probably
that's gonna be the hard thing. That's gonna be
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah,
credibility.
I don't know if I can trust. I don't know if I can trust you anymore.
Credibility gone out the window. You're gonna have to find a new co-host if you ever want to make it big in this podcast industry.
You're kind of doing all like the technical. You do the recording. I don't know that I really. Honestly, I feel like you got me here. I don't really know I'm in a position, to do that. I feel like I'm kind of backed into a corner here.
I've got you trapped, don't I?
Yeah,
that's good.
The good ones always do.
Well, okay. Anyway,
this is what people come here for. Just so you know, this is
the banter.
This is what they come here for. Yeah.
They don't care about the ad. They don't care about our opinion.
I barely care about these ads.
Well, that is a common theme about ads, and something that I think we as ad creators often forget is most people don't give a shit. Genuinely, right?
That should be like at the top of your copywriting document, right? It's just like an acknowledgement, and like nobody gives a shit. Most people don't give a shit. And that should be, okay, great. I got to figure out what do I need to do, because most people don't give a shit. Sorry, Mom. I know I just said shit like 3 times.
And not only do most people not give a shit, I think there are plenty that actually give a shit negatively. I don't know how to better put that.
No, tease that out. I like this. Where's this going?
Right. They actively dislike ads, which made me realize recently that the Erik and Matt like ads name is actually, I actually like it. I put that together because I just didn't really feel like actually thinking about it. And then you said you actually liked it, so we kept it. But now that I think about it, it's like, oh yeah, you know what? Actually, maybe that is kind of eye-catching, because most people dislike ads.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I like that. I hadn't considered that, by the way. So that's pretty good. Yeah, good job, Matt. Look at that. Even when you don't know what you're doing, you know what you're doing.
Hire me. I sometimes get lucky. Great.
This is the kind of person you want on your team, folks. All right. Yep. This is the kind of person you want on your team.
I don't give a shit about doing a great job for you, but sometimes I accidentally
Every once in a while.
do.
Am I right?
Hey, man.
I think that I like your commentary on the ad. I would echo a good chunk of it. One thing that stood out to me is that my Uncle Hank, I consider him my Uncle Hank. He's actually Meredith, my wife. He's actually Meredith's Uncle Hank. But
Okay.
I mean, I really like her family. This is her dad's side. I like both sides of her family. This is her father's side of the family. And so Uncle Hank is my father-in-law's brother. He loves Miller Lite. Okay, Uncle, and I don't mean like loves Miller Lite. He doesn't have like a Miller Lite problem. Okay, all right. So no one get worried. Uncle Hank's doing just fine. All right. Combustion engineer, by the way. All right. I mean, you want to burn something industrially, he's your guy. Okay. But anyway, yeah. So he likes Miller Lite. Personally, Miller Lite gives me a headache. No matter what I do, if I drink a Miller Lite, I will get a headache. I don't know why that is, but I do. I don't have to drink like 13 of them. All right. I just have like one of them and it's going to give me a headache. Usually like it's one like in the back of the head kind of headaches, like a tension headache. I don't know why. But anyway, so Uncle Hank loves Miller Lite and I love Uncle Hank. Okay. Dude, he followed the dead around for a little bit back in the 80s. He's just an easygoing guy. He loves music. You probably figured that out. He loves Dylan. I love Dylan. I learned more about Dylan through Uncle Hank. He loves John Prine. I learned about John Prine through Uncle Hank. So I feel like he's kind of been an important musical figure in my life, kind of a role model, kind of like the dad that I didn't have as it comes to music. I have a father, by the way, and he's magnificent, but didn't really give me a lot of leadership in the area of music in my life.
Sure.
Okay. But anyway, so Uncle Hank, I think could have been wearing that fox hat. Okay. He does some goofy things. He's kind of got that personality. He makes funny jokes. I mean, so it didn't dawn on me. I was going to bring up Uncle Hank, but then when you mentioned the dad joke thing and the whatever, and the kind of the goofy kind of giggle thing, I'm like, yeah, that is so in line with Uncle Hank. Right. So anyway, so I'm with you 100% on that.
Now, can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Uncle Hank sounds great. And I want to have a Miller Lite with him because I don't get a headache from Miller Lite. I don't really care one way or the other about Miller Lite, but could Uncle Hank have incorporated the product into the joke a little bit better than the people who wrote this ad?
I'm not sure, but of course, I'd like to give Uncle Hank the benefit of the doubt and say, you bet your bottom biscuit he could have. All right. And I feel the same way because I do have some praise for this ad, but honestly, it doesn't make me want to have a Miller Lite.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure that I would remember that it was produced by Miller Lite. Right. I think it's not a complete flop, but I do not score it well on that. Right. I do think it demands attention because you're like, why am I watching this? What am I even looking at?
Right.
It's quiet. It's totally unexpected. All right. So it definitely demands attention. It pleasantly defies expectations. By the way, I thought I was looking at a green screen situation. All right. I didn't even think I was looking at that they were really quote on location somewhere. Right. It looked more like green screenish to me. And I feel like 99, they could have pulled that off. That was happening back then. Right.
Oh yeah.
But then he comes in, he's walking at you like, okay, he's walking, he's going to say something. And he walks right past you. And I'm like, that's brilliant as well. Really well done. And then he comes back and he says what he says. And he got the goofy laugh. And then you're like, surprise, delight. I mean, the punchline is perfect. And they do that in an economy of not just words, but seconds. That's a 20-second ad.
Yeah.
I didn't even know 20s were a thing today, let alone in 1999. All right. So it probably had a 10-second something or else that was, backed up against or whatever.
Yeah.
So all of that being said, though, I don't really know, like, did this help Miller Lite? Was this like actually an effective commercial? I'm one of the people that honestly, but at that time in my life, I was 20 years old. I was not watching a lot of TV at that point in my life, and the internet wasn't really internet video wasn't really a thing. So I wouldn't have seen it, and I didn't see it. It wasn't until you had it on the list And I loved it when I saw it the first time, but it was actually the first time I'd seen this ad. So yeah. So I don't know. I don't know that it really sold beer or that it could sell beer.
I doubt that in 1999 it helped them at all. I think that maybe this ad would work today on the internet. The virality could, like it could be kind of like one of those viral videos that a brand creates in hopes of it going viral because it's a good joke and a lot of people, may share it, especially the age group of people that they were likely.
Is the term viral or viral?
Viral.
Viral.
Yeah.
Okay. How many views does this have?
I don't know. I mean, I've found multiple YouTube videos for it. I can't imagine that it's viral now. I'm saying
splintered.
If it
I know. I'm just curious, like if it had if it has accumulated, a decent amount of views, so that it had like a viral moment, perhaps, right? But that it just, like accumulated some views.
I would imagine. So if I had to guess what I did find the agency that produced this ad, that wrote this ad. I did not write it down, but I saw now that they are a part of YNR, which means almost nothing to me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say YNR. I'm waiting for you to tell me what that means. Oh yes, YNR.
Yeah,
a lot of work coming out of that shop.
If I had to guess what they were trying to do, and I could be completely way off here, but I would think that they were trying to get people to tell the joke, to get people to say, "How did you see that? It's funny," at the water cooler, in the office, at the barbecue,
Yeah.
And then hope that the next time that person saw it, they would pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Create that kind of, would have been like the post-internet virality. I do know that, like, realistically, the reason I know about this ad is because somebody that my dad worked with back then emailed it to him, him this video. And I don't think it was until a year or two after this video this commercial had been out. So if that was what they were trying to do, I would say they accomplished it. My dad does not drink Miller Lite. So
what'd your dad drink?
Dad drinks Bud Light now. So the
king of beers.
Right. But right, like if there was a candidate to switch their drink over to something because of an ad campaign, I would say somebody that drinks Budweiser or Bud Light, like that's a pretty easy transition to Miller Lite.
Yeah.
But this was at a time when nobody switched. Like people had their brand.
Is that like actually a thing? Like, I don't even know like if that's really like a thing. I feel like good advertising for a beer might make me pick it up if it's on sale or if it's in front of me and I can't get the beer that I normally want to get and that thing's there, I might grab it because I'm like, or someone's coming over to the house and it's not really the beer I would drink, but maybe I'm more open to buying a different beer, right? But like, is it going to make me, if like I'm a Bud guy, all right? I'm not a Bud guy. I'll drink Budweiser and I'm not really agnostic when it comes to more, I think, of the standard big brand beers. But Budweiser, I do enjoy Budweiser. I grew up, I was weaned on Labatt Blue, all right, because that's what my pap, Kent, it's my father. He drank Labatt, okay. But when I got old, and I still enjoy Labatt, but I don't purchase Labatt. If I'm going to purchase that kind of beer for my house, it's probably going to be Budweiser, or I like to roll rocks. I'm not going to lie. I like to roll rocks. All right.
It fits you.
Thank you. I think it's like, I call it the official beer of Thanksgiving. Back when you used to have people over to your house for Thanksgiving. Remember when people used to do that? The garage fridge, I like to get a 30 pack of rocks and I line them up real neat on like one shelf. So like it's taken up like one shelf, right? And it just looks so good. And I turn them all, right? So they're perfectly aligned. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So I don't know. So I'm not sure. I think maybe, yes, it could help, but I don't know that people are going to say like, oh, wow, Miller Lite's advertising, not just this commercial, but maybe like a series over years of their commercials is so good, right? And not that we're consciously thinking this, because we know that that doesn't happen, right? No one's like, you know what, I just love their advertising so much, I guess I'm just going to switch my beer. No, it's like it subconsciously influences you. And then one day you realize, wow, 6 months ago, I stopped drinking Bud and I started drinking Miller Lite. I don't know that that's going to happen. But I do think that it could tactically kind of like, surgical strike kind of stuff, right? Get people to perhaps buy it under certain circumstances over another beer. And I think that if you're going like can you do a campaign like this and actually have it sell more beer? Because I think that's questionable. I think of a couple. I think of Heineken. All right. I think of the Heineken commercial where it shows, it's very stereotypical. This is probably like a 10-year-old campaign, I'm guessing. And you have a group of guys, 3 or 4 guys, and you get a group of women, 3 or 4 women, and they're obviously in someone's house. And the wife, one of the wives, is showing off her huge walk-in closet that she must have just gotten to her, like her girlfriends, right? And the husbands are next door and they're looking at the huge walk-in cooler that the husband has, and it's got all this Heineken in it, right? It took me forever to remember that it was Heineken in this thing. It was a hilarious commercial, but I felt like Heineken, because what did it have to do with Heineken? It had absolutely nothing to do with Heineken. Now, juxtapose that to a Labatt commercial, probably sandwiched in between the Miller Fox hat commercial and this Heineken commercial from a timeline standpoint. So maybe early 2000s-ish. I remember when Labatt was using, they were using the bear. They were using various things, right? Do you remember the commercial? And for me, the setting is they're in like a Walmart-esque looking type place. And I think there's like a talking deer, like a talking buck. And I might be mixing commercials, all right? But the point is I remember a line, okay? And I always remember that it came from a Labatt commercial. And someone says something, Canada. And then someone else says it's pronounced Canada. And it is like the dumbest thing, right? Because the person said it correctly. They said Canada correctly, and it's followed up by someone correcting them, but there was no need to correct them. It's just super stupid. But that always stuck with me. And for some reason now, maybe it's my like predisposition towards Labatt because of my upbringing, right? Which I'm aforementioned, but that stuck with me. Now, does that mean I'm going to drink more Labatt? I don't know that it means I'm going to drink more Labatt, but at least in my mind, that always stood out to me that thing, that joke that made me laugh came from a Labatt commercial. And I don't know what they did differently. And if this is an isolated incident, because I honestly, like, how do you prove this? I have no idea. But for me, it stuck, and they associated their name with that joke. And I cannot tell you how many times in the past 10 plus years I have used that joke. I try to work it in, honestly, every chance I get, which is probably not necessarily a good thing.
Well, not for your relationships with your, friends and family, but
with anyone. No.
But
I always get a chuckle.
Yeah. I'm sure you've told the story more than once, which is good for the brand.
Yeah, which was exactly. I mean, but of course, I did eventually remember the Heineken thing, and we just talked about Heineken, and we've been saying Miller Lite this entire time. So, it didn't totally suck.
But we should wrap it up.
Hey, man.
This has been
Appreciate
fun.
You.
Likewise. Thanks for calling me a liar like 4 times.
It's good for you. It's for your own good.